So finally some progress being made. Last night you saw that I got the rear air ride fully constructed, temporarily plumbed and tested. So that's a good thing. Love it when a plan comes together. So what I did today, I've come out and I put Loctite on all the mounting hardware for the air ride, for the rear air ride. I put the wheel back on, got it all aligned and tightened back up. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move toward putting the bag brackets on, because that was what was holding me up to do the bag brackets, was getting the rear air ride done. So in one of my earlier videos, I ran down what's involved, or excuse me, what's included in that package from D Choppers, and that's what I'm going to start working on now, is putting those brackets on. I was told that because I have 7 down, 14 back bags, that I may be able to use that entire fender underneath. What I have is an overlay fender anyway, so it would definitely go on top of that. But typically, you would have to cut this part of the fender off, and I'm trying to avoid having to do that. So what I'm going to do is mock that fender up, or I'm going to put it on and then mock it up to see if I actually have to cut it or not. As you can see, I've taken all the lights and everything off. Those signals and lights will be for sale, so if anybody's interested in buying those, you are welcome to buy those from me, because I will not be using them on the new bags. Getting to that now. All right, well, I got the bag brackets on, and what I did was lower the jack, and I actually don't think it's lowered all the way down. No, it's actually not lowered all the way down, but that you can see where the tire is going into the back fender. I think it might be at its lowest point, again, because I have the jack underneath it and the wheel underneath that, and I don't have the air ride completely hooked up in the front. I can't take the jack from underneath yet to see exactly where that is, and I took my temporary plumbing out of the rear air ride to be able to test it right there. But I just finished putting the bag brackets on with the stock fender with the light stripped off, so I'm going to take my new overlay fender and just kind of give it a test fit to see if it's going to work, and if I put standoffs on it, how everything will line up. Coming together. All right, so I've got the fender on for a couple of reasons. One, I can probably use my entire rear fender without cutting it, because of the length of my fender and bags that I'm putting on there, the stretch fender and bags I'm putting on. But also, I wanted to get the bag brackets on because I want to determine if I can use any of the structure of the bag brackets to support the compressor for the rear air ride. So, I mean, I may end up having to put the compressor in the bag, which is fine, which is what I planned. But because there's a lot of meat to this structure, I'm going to see if I can use it in any way that it won't interfere with the bike going up and down. All right, so I temporarily mounted the bags, and what I'm looking at, the left bag is going to have my subwoofer in it, so I wouldn't put it on the left side anyway. But I was looking at the clearance underneath, and it looks like on the right side of the bike, I might be able to mount the compressor on the bottom side of the rail and still have plenty of clearance. I have to look up. I can't remember if those compressors have to be mounted right side up or if they can be mounted upside down. I don't know if that's an issue, so I'll have to look into that. But that's probably going to be my best bet if I don't put it in the bag. I think I want to do a fast up kit, so I would need the bottom of the bag for the air tank. So we'll see. Just kind of working it out, what's going to work best. All right, so I can't mount the compressor upside down because of the way the heat dissipates. It's not recommended to do it that way. So I'm going to just take a look and see if I can create a plate, which probably exists somewhere anyway, to mount it right side up, but to hang down under the bag. It'll be interesting to see. Again, just trying to work it out. These, the bags are only temporarily mounted, but boy, oh boy, they look good. Let me see if I can get far enough away. Obviously, the fender's not on there yet. 7 down, 14 back is going to be a nice look. She's going to be long, long. All right, I'm waiting for a couple of things to show up. They're supposed to arrive tomorrow, and that'll allow me to put the rest of the front end together, so I can plumb the air ride for the front and really get this thing moving. I might even be able to take it off the jack and put it up on the lift at that point. I'll have to wrap the rims and stuff in tape to keep them from getting scratched up, but that'll be cool. So while I'm out in the garage working on where I can mount the compressor for the rear air ride and a couple of other things, I figured I'm going to go ahead and test fit the front fender now that I've got the fender mount adapters on here, and go ahead and mark the fender for where I need to cut it. So as you guys saw when I talked about this a while back, I've got rubber hoses on here just off of center on the tire, and that's the clearance I want for the fender off of the tire. So I've got that taped all the way around. And what I'm going to do is put the fender on, see where it is in relation to the mounts here, and I'm going to mark it for where I need to cut the tabs so that they fit. Because the tabs that, the tabs that are on the fender can be for a 26 or 30-inch wheel, and it's set up for a 30, so for a 26 it has to be cut. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the fender and put it on and get to marking. All right, so I've got the fender. I'm gonna go ahead and slide it on here to where it's gonna be inside of the adapters. And you see I've got the clearance over the tire where I want it. Make sure that's nice and centered, because if it's rocked one side or the other, when I go to mark it, it's going to be in the wrong place. Now, like any carpenter would tell you, measure twice, cut once. What I'll do is I will mark these where I believe I want to cut them, and then make sure that the measurements are the same on either side. So try to get this centered on the mounting bracket, touching the hose on the tire all the way around. Same distance from the edge of the rim to the edge of the fender on the top and on the bottom. And pretty sure that's where I want to be. I'm going to grab my caliper and just measure that distance to make sure that I actually have it centered on the adapter bracket here. Zero that. Half an inch. That is not half an inch. So that's why you have to do all that measuring to make sure you have it exactly where you want to have it. So again, let me zero that out and start again. 0.43 inches and 0.45. So got to play with it just a hair, and I think that's going to get me where I need to be. Zero it. 0.4955. Make sure we're at the same place on this side. And we are not, which means that the fender is actually twisted on the tire. And we were almost bingo. So I'm going to go with 0.4955. Uh-oh. I'm going to go with 0.4955 for my distance front edge of the adapter to the front edge of the fender mount, just to make sure that I'm square. That way I can go and cut and know that they are even on both sides. Ooh, man, this sweatshirt makes me look fat. What I'm doing now is taking my my marker that I use for welding and marking on metal, and I'm going to go ahead and mark the line at the bottom of this adapter as to where I'm going to cut. Do it on both sides, and then when I pull the fender off, I will measure that all the way across, make sure it's even on both sides so that I'm cutting off the same amount on both sides. I'll come back, check it, and then I will drill the holes for the mounting bolts. All right, I've got the fender all marked, got my grinder with the metal cutoff wheel. I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Not going to film it just because it's going to be loud, and it's just going to be running line, so I don't think there's any real need to record that. So when I come back, those should be cut, and the piece that I'm cutting off here, I will use to align and mark the holes that I'm going to drill for the other holes. And remember, whenever you're going to do any grinding or cutting, these sparks and whatnot fly. Keep some gloves on, because when that stuff hits your hands, it's no fun, and you really don't want to get it in your eyes either. I wear glasses, but it's always better to even wear a flip-up visor, because then it protects the rest of your face. All right, safety first. All right, I've gone ahead and I've trimmed off the part of the fender tab that was too long, rounded the edges, cleaned those up, and I've now marked them for the new fender. And I'm going to do one more measurement to make sure those are where they're supposed to be, and go ahead and drill those holes out inside, or excuse me, for both sides to mount the fender up. All right, well, I knocked that out a lot quicker than I thought I would. So I've got the fender all fitted up. Cut off the fender tab. Since it was originally, you know, this could be for a 26 or a 30-inch rim. So I had to cut it off to fit the 26. Got it cut down. Extensions in there, or the adapters in there. She's good. I'm going to take those hex head bolts out of there because they are not attractive, but that's what came with it. And then I'll put in probably some chrome or stainless Allen head cap bolts. But all hooked up. Got the clearance I wanted underneath there. So even if I went with a tire with a different profile, I'd still have plenty of room. Another thing off the checklist.